Hi, welcome to beautiful Soddy-Daisy, Tennessee. We're in the Tennessee River Valley, about 30 minutes north of Chattanooga. Today we're going to be talking about pruning neglected mature trees. And the reason we're doing that is we're getting ready for Soddy-Daisy's second Arbor Day coming up on March 4th. We're going to be planting 35 trees along Soddy Lake. But before we do that, we need to assess the trees that currently are living along the lake. Some may need to come down, some may need some very severe pruning. So that's going to be the focus for today. My name is Jim Stewart. I'm with the Hamilton County Master Gardeners and also with a nonprofit started recently, Keep Soddy-Daisy Beautiful. I'm also going to be joined by several other people who will introduce themselves as we go along. So we look forward to showing you our pruning video.
I am Joe Nichols. I'm a retired University of Tennessee extension agent. I'm helping Jim with the evaluation of the trees and doing some pruning. So I represent the university and a citizen of Soddy-Daisy and a master gardener. I'm Joe Nichols. We are here working on the pruning of neglected trees, and now we're going to be evaluating it. Okay, so this tree is not really growing really well, and it has some problems. The growths that you can see here. Looking at the tree, we have a dead area here where there's no bark. Have no idea how that might have happened. Something physical or just a defect in the growth of the tree. One indicator of these is that the tree is unhealthy. When it's growing out limbs at the bottom, the tree at the top is not doing its job. The roots say it needs to be doing a better job. So the tree will have to come down, and if you come on down and look at this place that somebody cut off another tree, the rot that's occurring here, the heart rot, eventually this tree would yield in a storm, and so we don't want that to happen, hurt some people. So we'll replace this tree because it's showing poor health and it's showing a potential dangerous situation. We're looking at this tree, which is a forked tree. The angle between these two limbs indicates a problem, and one of these limbs will break off in a storm. So this one being the smaller one and having no limbs that are growing toward the other tree has a lot of limbs that are growing into this one. So if we remove this fork, then the other tree will recover better than if we chose to leave this one and remove the other one. Of course, we have some other plants in here that'll need to be removed, and although this vine isn't causing a problem, it doesn't add anything to the beauty of the tree. Here we have a past mature tree. If we were judging a human at this stage, we'd be getting ready for the funeral. But this tree has a lot of problems. Heart rot is completely in here. I don't know if this will go. Can you see that on the other side? And If we take out this trunk and leave this one, it's going to be leaning at an awkward angle, and because the heart rot doesn't stop down at the ground, it actually feeds into the roots, and this will die from heart rot caused by this problem over here. We also have a lot of vines that are incidental. This, we call this a grapevine. Some people may have swung on a grapevine out in the woods, but actually it didn't do any damage to the tree. The tree would survive it just fine, but we don't like them in the tree. We like them out in the swimming hole. Here we are looking at an indicator of a problem, but most people don't recognize this streak as being an indicator of a problem. Let's look first at this piece of wood. Notice that this was one big trunk of wood, and the other limb was this way, and the narrow angle is the problem. So let's look at the inside story. If we open up this little book, we can see the lack of connection between these pieces to the two limbs, and as we get further into the tree, we find that it's completely separated. And now you know the inside story. The why is because this tree didn't fall on a car or somebody's house. It was removed for firewood and put to a good use. But if this had been left to the storm, who knows who might have been hurt. Joe Nichols will show you a little bit about how nature prunes a limb. If it breaks it off in a storm and it tries to heal over, but heart rot happens on the inside. You notice how much it's tried to close this wound. Now, had it been cut at this place about here, that would be perfect. We recommend a method, we call it, these two cuts were made close together, but this was growing to the tree. A cut was made here, here, and here. We call it 1, 2, 3 or ABC. These cuts took off the weight. This cut left the collar on the tree, and this was not a pruning cut, but I tried to get the collar to show. Now, nature will heal. You can see that this limb broke, like, somebody climbing or maybe a storm, but it broke. But it completely healed and grew over it. Now, a lumberman would, cull this piece of wood, but nature can do some wonderful things. All right, we have here a large limb that we determined is really too big for this size tree in this location, and we want to remove it, but we don't want it to break down and strip the bark and do damage to the tree. Ultimately, we'll cut it right along this collar where it branches out, but the first cut will be underneath about 1/3 of the way through, and then just out of that we'll make another cut, weakening it so that it'll fall. Then we'll make the final cut. Okay, I'd like it, if you will, make the bottom cut, and we don't want it to fall on the picnic table, so make this one about halfway. Yeah. Okay, and then come over here, and don't know if you're tall enough to do the top cut. Okay.
I'll see if I can do it the first time.
Tree removal companies have something that almost looks like a
First, he's going to make a cut on the underneath side of the tree. Just a little less than halfway. And then on the other side, top side, he's going to move. You can move in or out. I ask him to move out. And this will take the weight off of the limb. Later on we'll make the final cut. We call this the 1, 2, 3 method of cutting a big limb off of a tree.
Well, you got to keep touching on the tree. Yeah, put it. You want to do that? Yeah. Okay, just pull that way so it might come down.
Right outside of the string.
Down to here?
Yeah.
Is that on the outside of the string of that? What do you think, Joe?
I think it'll heal. Okay, we're removing this branch because in this park area, we don't want people climbing the tree. Kids could possibly get up there and climb it. Danger. So we need to take them off maybe up about 8 feet. So this one will go, and this one will go, and this one will go. Okay, we're going to cut underneath, and then we're going to cut on top and take the weight off of the limb. Then we'll cut right at the edge of this tree collar, the swollen area here. And so the healing tissue in the tree is right there. Better healing there than anywhere else on the tree. Okay, first Jim is going to make a cut underneath the limb, not quite, halfway through. This is to prevent, when it comes down, splitting down the side of the tree. That's the first cut of 1, 2, 3 method. I think that's good, Jim.
okay.
And then just maybe a ½ inch out.
Good.
Maybe a little closer. Okay.
Okay.
All right. He'll make a top cut that'll let the tree limb come down. Without splitting the bark down the trunk of the tree. And then the harder cut right next to the tree collar.
Okay. There's a little string here I'm getting rid of.
Yeah, I'd move right against the collar.
How's that?
Yeah. It's a little work, but it's good for the tree. Trimming up and pruning, clean up the bottom, we have lots of little things that are in the way. I don't know if that... Okay, here we have a large grapevine. And then we have this monster. Looking better. Gonna do the undercut, not that close. No, do the 1, 2, 3. Yeah. We need to decide that it is a tree, and this additional growth here should not be distracting from the tree. So we need to clean it up and leave the tree as undamaged as we can. Let me borrow your loppers.
Thanks to expert advice from Joe Nichols and hard work from Harvey and others, we finished trimming the tree. You can see we've recently cleared out the bottom part with all the vines that were crawling up the tree. That took some time. We're now ready to put some mulch around the tree. Best practice is that we should extend the mulch out to where the noon shade is. Unfortunately, I didn't bring enough mulch today, so we're only going to put down some of the mulch and we'll come back and do it later. So, going to put some mulch down. As we put this down, again, we didn't bring enough mulch, but we're going to go for about a 3-inch depth for the mulch when we're finished. And there's an interesting point about the cypress trees back here. I don't know if we could take a look at the cypress knees. This is a feature of the cypress trees, which is a normal way they can spread. And in this case, they happen to be heading towards the water. You'll see this with different types of trees like this.
As far as quality of mulch and the kind of mulch, actually I prefer shredded cypress mulch. It doesn't wash away real bad, it doesn't blow in the wind, and it's semi-permanent. It doesn't rot like bark does, but pine bark is cheap and chips are cheaper, so it's real important to keep down the vegetation that competes with the tree itself. So do consider mulch of however you can afford.
On behalf of our volunteers today, Harvey, Ann, Joe, and myself, and our special videographer, Curtis Cecil, we want to thank you for spending some time with us today, and we wish you luck in your tree pruning efforts. Have a good day.